Our shout out tonight for a reporter who has his own investigative fund and has been working with the Georgia Coalition for the People's Agenda to produce a powerful lawsuit and some powerful stories. Palast's investigation really took off when he discovered that this elderly woman, Christine Jordan, was turned away from voting on Election Day in Atlanta. Her name purged from the voting rolls in Georgia, supposedly because she had moved.
Has this ever happened to you before?
Never.
How long you been voting?
All my life, ever since I was old enough. But I've been voting right here ever since 1968.
Miss Jordan was not just anyone.
She's the 92-year-old cousin of Martin Luther King Jr. She was thrown out of the polling station because they said she had moved. She's been in the same house for over 50 years, and she was the host of Martin Luther King after he would give his sermons at the Ebenezer Baptist Church. She hasn't moved anywhere, but they threw her out for moving.
Miss Jordan's granddaughter told Palast no one could explain how her name was taken off the eligible voter list.
And it's horrible. And I say that because the West End, she's been in this community back when they were doing sit-ins. She held civil rights meetings in her home. And today to come out and not be able to vote and no one can give you an explanation, like, it's extremely emotional and it bothers me. It bothers me to my core. Like, there's actually no record of her whatsoever voting in any election whatsoever, and it's ridiculous.
Palast discovered what was going on at the Secretary of State's office in the Georgia Capitol and elsewhere.
For 6 years, I've been hunting down these secretaries of state, the people in charge of our voter rolls, who've been playing games by removing voters of color from the voter rolls.
In Georgia, it was Secretary of State Brian Kemp who was running for governor of the state.
I'm Brian Kemp. If you want a politically incorrect conservative, that's me.
I demanded that he give me all the information on the people he'd been removing from the voter rolls. The names, addresses. He said hundreds of thousands of people, almost 500,000, had moved out of Georgia in 2 years.
And then he confronted Kemp about what was going on.
Mr. Kemp, are you removing black voters from the voter rolls just so you can win this election? Why aren't you answering my questions? Sir, why do we have to sue you to get the names of voters who've been removed?
So when he stonewalled me on his lists of people he removed, I did something that is rarely done. I actually filed a federal lawsuit under the National Voter Registration Act, which said you have to hand over your files because it's about manipulating the voter rolls. A judge ordered Brian Kemp to open up his files on the voters he'd removed, how he removes them.
All backed by the Palast Investigative Fund.
We have an expert team that's pretty hard to match anywhere. It's very expensive, very difficult. What I've been able to accomplish with this lawsuit is not only opening up the files of these officials who are secretly playing games with the voter rolls, I'm opening up for every investigative reporter and reporting team. I've gotten calls from many, many papers and many outlets for this information.
Voter fraud is all too common.
President Trump made much of alleged voter fraud in this country, people voting twice, when he appointed the Secretary of State from Kansas, Chris Kobach, to head up a special investigative commission, which has yet to turn up any evidence of widespread voting fraud.
We want to make America great again. We have to protect the integrity of the vote and our voters.
When Trump said that there's massive vote rigging, I think he's right. But it's the cronies behind him who've been the center of the vote rigging.
And Palast says that Kansas Secretary of State is one of the culprits, sending other states cross-check lists of common names, alleging they have registered twice.
Mr. Kobach? Hi. Hey, I want to congratulate you. You are the #1 fraudulent voter hunter in the United States.
Thank you very much.
You're the guy behind the cross-check list. The title on this list is duplicate voters, okay? So wait, I've noticed, most of the names are... You've said that there is a massive problem with double voters. You've given out this list.
These are not double voters.
This is the list. You say it's potential double voters.
No.
Palast says he hopes other reporters in the U.S. will pick up now on what he has been doing.
It's not my job to elect or stop a theft of an election or do anything, that's not my job. My job is to expose this material. This is part of a national program to remove voters of color before the 2020 election. Now, this isn't about Democrats or Republicans. It's about right and wrong. It's about whether we're going to use a kind of new Jim Crow trickery to remove voters of color and young people from the voter rolls. Well, I got to tell you that being an investigative reporter is a lot better than working for a living.
That's our program for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you back here next week.